right, first of all, my name is Jim Hammond. I am the Northern Ohio engineer for Generator Systems. Generator Systems is the Ohio industrial dealer for Generac Power. We're also the industrial service dealer for Ohio. So on this business card is a 1-800 number. Also on the equipment there's a 1-800 number for 24/7 service. That's the number you want to call. You can get me. You call the 1-800 number. It's manned 24/7. We are at the southwest corner of the building here at Mayfield Village CEVEC facility. This is a 35 kW natural gas generator set. There's a companion transfer switch inside, an annunciator panel, and an emergency stop switch inside. The brains of the operation are on this corner of the machine. This is the generator control panel. I'm going to go through some main things that'll kill you in an outage. 9 times out of 10 when we come out to a facility and there's a problem, these are the things that we're having issues with. There's a 3-position key switch, auto, off, manual. If it's an off, we're off. Nothing's working. If it's in manual, the thing will start. It needs to be in auto. And there's a light on the screen that says not in auto. If it's in auto. See, if it's off, we're not in auto. If it's in auto, the light's not flashing. There's also a light down here that says alarm. If there's an alarm, an issue with the equipment, that light's going to be lit. It's going to blink occasionally. That's a good thing. That's like a pulse of the system. That says there's communications between this and the annunciator and the transfer switch. So we want that thing to blink periodically. On this panel, an emergency stop switch. If that switch is depressed, we're out of business. That shuts the whole system down. There's also an emergency stop switch in the building. If that is depressed, you're out of business. So that needs to be pulled out. 2 main things. This needs to be in auto. This needs to be out. There can't be any shutdown conditions, alarms. So on a weekly basis, when this thing exercises, you should come out and look at those things. On the other, right here as well, there's a convenience receptacle. This convenience receptacle, the block heater that keeps the machine warm, is plugged into. So if that's not plugged in, the system's not working. You know, more than likely on a cold day, it's not going to work.
You said this thing does an automatic test of repeat.
It does an automatic test with it.
How long does it run?
I would say it runs for about a half an hour total. I can't tell you. We should verify probably when that's happening.
How do we know when it happens?
We'll go through and look at it before I leave. On the screen here, there's some information. There's 2 LCD displays. On the left-hand side, it's electrical information. You know, voltage, amps, you know, what the output of this machine is. On the right side is more engine-related information. So if you wanted oil pressure, oil temperature, all this kind of information will be on the right-hand side. If you wanted amps and things like that, would be on the left-hand side. And these arrows, and these buttons will move you around within those screens. This connection here, you know, this machine has the capability, you can plug a computer into it. You can plug a computer into it remotely. Our technicians will come up and plug their computer in to program this. That's what that port's for. Generally, you don't have to mess with it at all, but we'd like to have the boot on top of it.
Sure.
Keep the moisture out of it.
What's the switch?
Which switch? Oh, thank you very much. This is the other thing that puts this thing out dead in the water. If that's open, there's no electricity going to flow from this generator to the transfer switch. So it's not going to work. That needs to be on in the up position. It's labeled on, up, off, down. Needs to be up. So those are really the 3 or 4 main things. Breaker closed, switch in auto, emergency stop out, coolant heater plugged in. We'll go around the other side. I'll show you a way of figuring out whether the coolant heater is working. One other thing here, It's one of the things you're going to want to do in maintenance. Make sure it's got coolant in it, just like in your automobile. There's an overfill tank right there. You just like you set it up in your car. Same exact thing. You know, this is actually a 4.2 liter Ford engine. Same thing would be in a Ford Ranger. You know, so you know, very, very much the same thing. Looking at just the shape of this generator, we're pulling air in here and we're discharging it out here. There's a muffler in there. There's also the radiator. Holds air through the machine and pushes it out. With that in mind, we don't want a lot of junk around here because it'll just suck it in. You know, we don't want to draw that all the garbage through the equipment. So that's critical that this area is kept reasonably clean. Talked about block heater. Block heater keeps this machine warm, and all the time it's going to keep the engine warm. You stick your hand on it in the wintertime, it ought to be warm. Right here. If it's not warm, it's not working. So it's critical that that's kept warm. There's an oil drain here. So you could drain oil from here into a pan to change the oil. Here's your starter. But here's a major maintenance point. If you're changing the oil, this is where you do it. And there's a valve. Oh. Open, close, there's a valve. A battery, obviously. Just like in your car, again. Very similar. Probably the same battery that you get a pickup trucks out there. This is your oil, this is your air filter. Standard off-the-shelf air filters will work for that. You can go to Napa and buy a filter. One of the things that's somewhat unique about this is the battery charges on the generator. It's in that control panel. So we have a circuit going from in the building to power this battery charger that charges that battery. We also have a circuit from the building that I showed you the receptacle there that the coolant heater plugs into. So they're separate circuits from the building coming out. What do we forget? That hose. That is a flexible fuel connection. It's at this point to be a spare. For the most part, the service points on this equipment are just like on any automobile. It's got to have oil. It's got to have coolant. It's got to, it's got to have a clean air filter. It's very, very much like a car.
What's that thing up there?
Thank you. This is the coolant fill. There's a radiator right here. This is where you fill it through. Yep. Ways down there. It's an oil drain. Dipstick on that side. Oil filter. Here's your, here's your oil dipstick right there. You'd have to get it from this side. Yellow. Here's your dipstick.
There's the filter right here.
There's the oil filter.
Yeah. The oil filter itself is right here. It's the oil filter.
Coolant drains.
This is where you put the oil in.
Yep, that's the oil filter. Yep.
Coolant drains on this side. There's a pip line.